No, thank you all for joining us today. Really important for us to be able to share with the world there's so much that goes into starting a business, starting a real estate deal. One of the most important things is how you actually going to pay for it. If you've ever been to the Crowdfunding Lawyers YouTube page, we like to just give away really everything that you need to know. And so our purpose today is to continue to do exactly that. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper into areas that, hey, frankly, it's important for you to know, but it's kind of like base information. So enough for you to be dangerous, but dangerous enough to know that it's time to take the next step. Primarily going to focus on how you can reach a bigger audience, find more investors, and the strategies to do it. And to kind of start with whether or not you're taking approach of let's do social media marketing or let's do email blast, webinars. There's a number of different ways to slice it, and we'll talk about it. But regardless of what approach you ultimately do take, it's all about the message. What are you communicating to the public? Because no matter what avenue or channel you're communicating through, you want it to be consistent. And when we're talking about figuring out what your message is, it is your own story. Why would I, as an investor, want to invest in you or with you? Is it because you have an amazing track record and have been doing it for tens to hundreds of different transactions in the past? Or is it because you have the most amazing access to opportunity that really nobody else is being able to find? These are some of the different considerations that you need to think through as you're developing your message. But it's kind of needs to be tailored to how does it work with you? Why are you important? At the end of the day, you're the white knight and you're trying to help your investors reach their goals of retirement. You're there to actually support your investors' goals. They're the heroes, they're the villagers that you've got to protect. But why should they trust you? When we talk about designing the message, you figured out kind of your thesis. Hey, this is what I want to communicate, and this is why I believe that the audience that we reached out, that we touch, it will be interested in engaging with us, be interested in investing. Once we talk about the designing the message, this is where it comes down to which channel are you actually going to be communicating through? And that's where I say, if there's social media, which you can do with a number of the different exemptions. When you're communicating through social media, it's not about just writing one long sales copy. It's about consistency and keeping the message flowing and keeping the reminders going, which is different than having a webinar. Whether you're advertising on social media to bring people to the webinar or an email blast to your network or to other spheres of influence that actually wants to help you, becomes more of a sales scripted communication that goes to all of the prospective investors who say, hey, just come and listen to what I have. And then in terms of really those webinars or even in person, always remember that don't bore people. Don't try to get so stuck in the number that you miss the forest through the tree. So it is about keeping things entertaining and never forgetting at the end of the day, the entire goal is for that investor to say, I believe in you, I trust you, I believe in the project, please take my money. And so it's this filter, the advertising and marketing filter to bring the investors in front of you, whether it's online, a phone call, an in-person meeting. At the end of the day, the pitch, the sale, the description of what you're doing and how you're doing it should be able to be relatively consistent, regardless of the approach or the channel that you're communicating with the investors with. So that's where designing the message for that consistency is unbelievably important. And this is where, the delivery. Again, we've kind of touched on it. When we're talking about social media, you have to be smart about, with the different social media platforms, who's really watching. You may get thousands upon thousands of views and clicks on TikTok, but the vast majority of the TikTok audience is, 12, 13-year-olds. People that really aren't qualified investor. So while that may be a great platform to get the message out there, is that really the resource that you're going to find your best investors from? Alternatively, we have the grandpa, not great grandpa. You know, if you're as old as me or been around there, you remember MySpace, long gone. But then Facebook took its place. And Facebook has kind of developed into the boomer markets, the boomer platform. And I hate to say it, that generation has the vast majority of the wealth in America. So even if you think, oh my God, Facebook is so last year, and it was probably last 5 years ago, time to move on. It's where the audience that has the wealth that can invest is still looking to either get angry about politics or look at the cute little puppies or the family stories. They're still there. So Facebook still is an amazing resource to be able to reach out to your audience and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. You want to learn more? Come contact. Other ways, very important other ways, is the email. But you have to remember that, you know, if you start just sending out spam, you get what you pay for. It's just spam. Nobody likes that junk mail that they keep getting. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But as you get into business, as you're reaching out, letting people know what you're doing, you're talking to spheres of influence. Your friends may be interested in an investment, but they also may have other friends that are interested as well. So remember that it's not just to the investors that you're communicating, it's with the people that are really there, that already trust you, already know you, already want to be able to help you. And so position the message a little bit to remember that your spheres of influence are there to help support and help you along the way. And then, like I was saying before, just being consistent, whether it's going through email, whether it's going through social media, whether you're doing webinars, the story needs to basically stay the same. If it's inconsistent, it's gonna get confusing. And it's kind of like I've done so many deals through the years that are complicated, complex, multiple classes, multiple ways, multiple this. And what it comes down to is, well, if you could just explain it on a napkin, oftentimes those are the easiest deals to get capitalized. The no-brainer, talking to, hey, grandma, if you understand this, everybody else can understand this. But if I'm confusing you, that's a problem. So that's where being consistent with your message, but also simple with your message, as simple as possible. Your goal should not be to throw out the bells and whistles and, oh my God, look at what we can do. And if you invest this much, you get this, and that much, you get that. Well, with your communications and with your presentation, just try to keep it as simple as possible.